How's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to talk about replacing the fuel injectors on my 2015 BMW X1. Basically, it took pretty much the normal kind of tools, nothing too crazy, except you will need a fuel injector puller. BMW has a specific type for this vehicle, but I went ahead and got a different version that has the slide hammer. I've seen some other YouTubers use it and it seemed to work pretty well. And I plan on using this for other vehicles as well, so I didn't want to get too specific with the injector puller tool. So I already went ahead and replaced the fuel injectors in this vehicle. I thought it would be pretty cool to show everybody the general steps that it took to do it. So just use this as a visual reference if you plan on doing this yourself. Before you get started, you need to make sure you disconnect the battery. You're going to be dealing with pulling a lot of electrical components, as well as anytime you open the doors or any other component on these newer BMWs, the fuel pump usually tries to kick on, and you're going to be opening the fuel rails and everything. So first things first, disconnect the battery. Then you're going to want to definitely clean everything around the engine. So everything around this area, you want to make sure there's not a lot of dirt and grime, because you're going to be opening a lot of cavities. You want to make sure that nothing's going to fall inside. So now that you have a clean engine, what you're going to want to do is remove the actual ignition coils from the vehicle. Evidently, if you get fuel on these, it can erode the silicone in the injectors and actually cause it to not work as well. So go ahead and you'll be removing those. To remove those, you simply just lift up on it. It'll pop out the connector and then carefully wiggle those out, trying not to drop anything inside the cavity. After that, you're going to want to go ahead and disconnect the fuel pressure sensor that's up on the rail right here. It can be kind of tricky. You can get down there with a hook. You can actually kind of help pry it back. You'll pull that off. Then what you're going to want to do is actually loosen. What you're going to want to do is actually loosen the fuel rail connectors to the actual injectors. It doesn't hurt to have a rag under when you're doing it, just in case there's any leftover fuel. Obviously there's 4 leading down. There's 4 that you'll have to undo. Once you have those, then you're going to go ahead and you're actually going to loosen these 4 screws. You're not going to remove them, you're just going to loosen them. And you can loosen them with a E8 socket. There you go, an E8 socket. And then just get them slightly loose, because what you're going to do after that is you're going to actually pivot this and rotate it upwards out of the way, and that's going to be the only way that you can get this rail away from the injectors. It's not like another one that the actual arms come off. Once you have the fuel rail out of the way, you can go ahead and try to disconnect the fuel injectors. You can go ahead and just do that with the screwdriver. Just be careful not to try to pull and tug on them too hard. They actually come off pretty easy from my experience doing this. And I went ahead and just did it one at a time, so I didn't accidentally mix them up. If you wanted to, you could do kind of what I did right here for the DME, as I took some tape and marked number 1. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4 on your way down. That's just a good way to keep track of things. Okay, so next step would be to remove this bracketing. The first one has a grounding wiring to it, so does the second bracket. This is what kind of holds down the injectors and everything. So what you need to do is just, when you try removing it, try making it even. If you try getting it too far to one side, it wants to bind and not come up. And then you have a bolt right here, and then a nut down there that you'll have to use. Let me zoom in right there. Pretty simple and straightforward. It just pops right off, and that'll expose the fuel injectors. So this is about the time where that special BMW specific tool is supposed to come in and help you remove the fuel injectors. Now, like I said, I didn't want to buy a removal tool that specific. It was also a little bit more than this one that I got on Amazon. And what I liked about this one is that it actually came with the slide hammer as well as the Teflon ring remover and the compressors for putting on a new seal, as well as the attachment to help you put the seal on. So let me go ahead and show you real quick how this works. So you go ahead, you get the slide hammer and you put on the attachment that'll be used for the fuel injector. And I'm going to take one of the old fuel injectors that I took out of the vehicle. You can see how nasty that is. And go ahead and obviously it wouldn't be done exactly like this, but the fuel injector remover tool would slide on. Hold on. And we're back. Okay, so go ahead and you would screw it on like so. The injector is inside the vehicle, and then basically it's stuck in there. So this hammer just lets you kind of help pull it out. And I was skeptical at first, but this thing works really well. It only took a couple tries each injector. At first I tried removing them without it. You need something. So whether you get the BMW specific tool or you get a slide hammer like this, fair game either way. You will need it. I recommend the slide hammer though, just because I plan on removing fuel injectors on other vehicles too down the road.